The diner sat at the edge of town like a tired old secret, painted a faded cream, with cracked windows that showed years of storms and silence. Inside, the air smelled of hot grease, burnt coffee, and old wood polish. The bell above the door jingled every few minutes as locals came in and out, exchanging tired smiles and familiar greetings. Mia moved behind the counter like she was floating through her own life, hands steady, face calm, eyes distant. She knew every regular by name, every order by memory. She poured coffee with the same rhythm every morning, wiping the counter as if the act could clean her thoughts too. But today felt different. Today the door opened with a sharp blast of cold air, and the diner's usual warmth was replaced by a heavy silence. A group of bikers walked in, leather jackets and chains clinking softly. The room seemed to shrink. Heads turned. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Even the old radio in the corner went quiet. At the center of the group was Ryder, the leader. He didn't look like the others. His posture was calm, almost polite, and his eyes were the kind that didn't miss anything. He walked straight to the counter, as if he owned the place, but without the arrogance most people expected from a man like him. Mia's stomach tightened. She tried to smile, the automatic smile she wore like armor. "What can I get you?" she asked. Ryder didn't smile back. He looked at her, not in a threatening way, but in a way that made her feel exposed. His eyes moved over her face, then down to her arm, where her sleeve was rolled up just enough to reveal dark bruises. Mia's heart skipped. She immediately lowered her hand, covering the bruises as if she could hide them from the world. Her smile flickered, and she began to tremble. Ryder ordered coffee and a sandwich, his voice low and calm. He paid with a bill that was larger than necessary and left a tip that made the waitress beside Mia gasp. The other bikers laughed and joked loudly, trying to act like they didn't notice anything. But Ryder stayed silent, staring at Mia like he was studying a map. Not cruelly, like he was trying to understand a person who had been hurt. Mia kept her eyes on her hands, pretending she didn't feel the weight of his gaze. But inside, she knew he had seen the truth. And the town, watching from their seats, suddenly understood something too. This was not going to end like the usual nights. The diner's kitchen was small and hot, filled with the constant hiss of the grill and the rhythmic clatter of plates. Mia worked behind the counter, trying to act normal, but the bruises on her arm burned like a secret she couldn't escape. Every time she moved, the pain reminded her that she wasn't safe. She wiped the counter again and again, as if cleanliness could erase the past. The other waitresses had left early, and the last customers were finishing their meals. The town's quiet hum returned slowly, but Mia couldn't relax. Her thoughts kept going back to Ryder. His eyes had lingered on her bruises, but he hadn't said anything. He had acted like a stranger, yet somehow, he didn't seem like one. He looked like a man who had seen pain before, someone who understood it. Mia's mind flashed back to the night she'd gotten hurt. She remembered the way the room had smelled, alcohol and fear. She remembered the sound of her own screams swallowed by the walls. She remembered the bruises blooming on her skin like dark flowers. And she remembered how everyone in town pretended not to see. She had learned the rules quickly. Don't complain. Don't leave. Don't make it worse. Mia pushed the thoughts away and forced herself to keep working. But the truth was, she was tired of hiding. She was tired of pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. As she walked past the tables, she noticed the town's regulars watching her from behind their coffee cups. They were whispering, but not loud enough for her to hear. Their eyes held a mix of curiosity, pity, and fear. Mia hated that look. She had become a story to them, an unsolved mystery they didn't want to touch. When the diner finally emptied, Mia turned off the lights and locked the door. She stood alone for a moment, breathing in the silence like it might heal her. Then she heard a soft knock. Her heart stopped. Mia slowly opened the door, expecting to see a customer who forgot something. But there, leaning against the brick wall, was Ryder. He looked calm, almost gentle, as if he had stepped out of the shadows just to talk. Mia froze. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice shaking. Ryder stepped closer, his boots tapping softly on the ground. "I noticed you," he said quietly. "Not just your bruises, your fear." Mia's throat tightened. She stared at him, trying to find the thread in his eyes, but all she saw was something else, understanding. He didn't speak like a man who wanted to hurt her. He spoke like a man who had already seen too much pain to ignore it. "You're not safe here," he said, his voice low. Mia felt her blood run cold. She wanted to deny it. She wanted to say she was fine. But the truth was, she wasn't. Ryder leaned in slightly and added, almost softly, "If you ever want out, I can help." Mia's breath caught. She didn't know who Ryder was. She didn't know what he wanted. But she knew one thing. For the first time in months, someone had noticed her pain. And he wasn't walking away. That night, the town slept like it always did, quiet, shallow, pretending nothing was wrong. But Mia couldn't sleep. Her mind was buzzing with Ryder's words. "You're not safe here. If you ever want out, I can help." She replayed them over and over, like a song stuck in her head. Mia sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the bruises on her arm in the dim light. They were darker now, swollen and painful. She tried to cover them with long sleeves, but the fabric felt like a lie. Every time she moved, the pain shot through her like a reminder that she wasn't free. Her husband's heavy breathing in the next room made her stomach twist. He was sleeping, but she knew he wouldn't stay quiet for long. He had a way of waking up angry even when nothing had happened. Mia had always told herself she could endure it. She told herself she was strong. But deep down, she knew she was just surviving. She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the street. The town lights were dim, and the night felt heavy. She saw the diner in the distance, dark and closed. She saw the road leading out of town, disappearing into the unknown. For the first time in a long time, Mia felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. But hope came with fear. What if Ryder was dangerous? What if he wanted something from her? What if this was just another trap? She tried to reason with herself. She had been trapped for years. She knew how it felt. She knew the way people pretended not to see. She knew the way the town would blame her if she left. Mia walked to the kitchen and sat at the table. She pulled out a small notebook and wrote down the one question that had been haunting her. What if someone actually helps me? Her hand shook as she wrote. She stared at the words, feeling both scared and relieved. Then she heard a soft buzz, her phone lighting up on the counter. A message. No number. No name. Just a note. Meet me behind the gas station. 10 p.m. Alone. Mia stared at the screen, her heart pounding. Her first instinct was to delete it. Pretend it never happened. Pretend she didn't see it. Pretend she didn't need it. But she couldn't. Her mind raced. The gas station was on the edge of town, near the road that led out. It was the perfect place to disappear. Mia's hands trembled as she typed a reply, then stopped. She didn't know what to say. She didn't know what he wanted. She didn't know if she could trust him. She looked at her bruised arm again. She thought of the night before. Ryder's calm voice, his eyes, the way he seemed to see through her fear. She realized something terrifying. If she didn't do something now, she might never get another chance. At 9:50 p.m., she left her house. She walked quietly, trying not to make any noise. Her heart felt like it was going to burst. The town was silent, but Mia could feel eyes on her. She knew the neighbors would see her leaving. She knew the rumors would start. But she kept walking. At the gas station, Ryder was waiting, alone. His motorcycle was parked in the shadows, engine silent. He looked like he belonged there, like he had always been there. Mia stopped at a distance, unsure. Ryder didn't move. He didn't smile. He simply watched her, as if he was waiting for her to decide. Mia swallowed hard. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. Ryder's voice was low. "Because I've seen what happens when no one helps," he said. "And I'm not going to let that happen to you." Mia's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to believe him, but fear kept her from trusting. Ryder reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. He held it out to her. Inside was a phone number and a single message. "Call me, if you want out." Mia stared at the paper, her hands shaking. She realized something. This was more than a choice. It was a chance. And for the first time in years, Mia felt like she could finally breathe. The next morning, the town woke up like nothing had happened. The sun rose over the quiet streets, and the world seemed calm, almost normal. But the calm was only on the surface. Inside the diner, Mia was already working. Her hands moved automatically, pouring coffee, wiping counters, serving breakfast. She felt like she was walking through a dream, the way people did when they couldn't believe what was happening. Then the door burst open. A police officer stormed in, face pale and eyes wide. He held his radio tightly, like it might disappear. "Someone called this in," he said, voice trembling. "There's been an incident outside." The customers froze. Mia's heart dropped. "What incident?" someone asked. The officer swallowed. "A man was found unconscious behind the diner. Injuries consistent with a beating." Mia felt her stomach twist. She didn't even need to ask who it was. Her husband. The room went silent. The other customers stared at Mia, their eyes full of shock and guilt. Some of them looked away quickly, as if they couldn't bear to face her. Others watched her like she was a puzzle they couldn't solve. Mia's hands trembled as she set down a coffee cup. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. The officer continued, "He's alive, but he's been hurt badly. We need to take a statement." Mia's throat tightened. She couldn't speak. The officer looked at her, and for the first time, Mia saw something in his eyes she had never seen before: fear. He was afraid of what the town might do if they knew the truth. Before Mia could say anything, the officer's radio crackled. "Unit 3 to dispatch. Suspect seen leaving the scene. Looks like a biker, wearing a black leather jacket." The diner went cold. Mia felt her world tilt. She didn't want to believe it. She didn't want to think Ryder was involved. But the truth was already spreading through the room like wildfire. Everyone turned toward the door. And there, calmly walking in, was Ryder. He didn't run. He didn't look guilty. He didn't even seem worried. He walked to the counter, sat down, and ordered coffee like nothing had happened. Mia's breath caught. The town held its breath too. A man at a table stood up slowly. "You did this," he said, voice shaking. "You beat him." Ryder looked up, his eyes steady and calm. "No," he said quietly. "I stopped him." The room erupted. "Stop him from what?" someone shouted. "From hurting her," Ryder said, pointing at Mia. The town stared in shock. No one expected him to speak like that. No one expected him to defend her so openly. Mia felt tears streaming down her face. She couldn't believe what was happening. She couldn't believe someone had finally spoken the truth. The officer approached Ryder cautiously. "We need to talk," he said. Ryder nodded. "Of course." The town watched as the officer led Ryder outside, but something was different this time. No one whispered. No one stared. No one laughed. Instead, they felt something they hadn't felt in years. Hope. Mia stood behind the counter, trembling. She looked at her bruised arm and realized something. The truth had finally come out. And the town would never be the same again.